The spring break training trip was great. Got in a lot of good mileage. The weather was fantastic the whole week. So I think it was very productive from that end. The race at the end of the week, as always, is a high point for the athletes and coaches because it really sort of tells us where we're at in the training. The varsity H race, I think people raced well. I think there's one common theme that we have to work on throughout. I mean, for the varsity 8, you always have to anticipate that there's going to be fatigue and things like that coming out of your training week. And so I think that caused us a little bit of a problem in that last part of the race where Clemson came back. And also I think we have to get a little bit more comfortable with having a lead since they did a great job to get that over a very fast crew. And I think they just were not prepared for the sprint, everything coming back on them. And so whether it's teaching them to be a little more comfortable with fight or a little more fight in them, and similar with some of our other crews, like they have to learn to attack a little bit more and rely upon the training that we've done to carry them through the parts where they're going to get really tired and hurt in the racing. But I was happy with it. I think it was a great starting point, especially for the varsity 8. Clemson, number 16 in the country. I mean, we were leading them for 7/8 of the race, and to have them come back and tie us at the end was frustrating. I think basically the team has to do what they did this past weekend to be successful. They have to race aggressive. I mean, that's one of the things we're trying to establish a little bit more in the as a whole in our racing plan, is to be more aggressive off the line, to race a little bit higher, be a little bit, dictate what's going to happen in the race versus following our racing plan and reacting to other people. And that's what the varsity did great this past week. So I think that's the same thing with Notre Dame and Louisville and Purdue. I mean, we faced Purdue and we know where we are relative to them. Notre Dame and Louisville both had successful weekends this past weekend, so it should be an interesting race. Anytime you can get on the race course that you're going to have your championship at is an advantage. And there's not too much of a home court advantage in our sport, but this is as close as it can get. I mean, there are little subtle things that happen in race course, whether it's winds, whether it's just the way the buoys are. It's a huge advantage for us to have that opportunity to race on the course. I mean, it makes the athletes a little bit more comfortable when we're sitting there at the Big Tens to have raced there before.